Hi everybody, this is Amrit Maldonado from the Panther team here at Prolifics. Thank you for joining us again. Got a special video here for y'all today. I have a guest, Glenn Silverberg, who will be helping me today in my video. Basically, what we'll be doing today is kind of talking about a tutorial video that I released a couple of years ago. In these tutorial videos, I go through modernizing a Panther client-server application to the web. There are 4 videos in this series of videos, so before every video, we will kind of give a prelude to it, and I'll have Glenn help me talk about, I'll give his opinion on what technology was applied to modernizing each of these screens here. So let's start off, and Glenn, you introduce yourself, Glenn.
Hi, my name is Glenn Silverberg. I'm a senior developer at Prolifics. I've been working on the Panther and Jam before that for about 30 years. So I have a lot of experience helping to develop the product as well as fixing bugs in the product. So I'll help out with this tutorial as best I can.
Thank you, Glenn. Yep, he's been around. He's been around for a bit. Great, and I'm sure lots of you are listening to the videos. This video have somehow the last 30 years got an email for Glenn. Heard some of his great videos on our Panther channel. We talk about adding an HTML template to your Panther screen. All right, so Glenn, can you talk a little bit about templating your Panther screens and just the idea behind applying an HTML template behind a Panther screen?
Okay, well, it goes way back to when Panther Web was developed in, I guess, the late 1990s. At that time, we had JavaScript was still part of the web, but even that was not always used by people. So initially, the idea was to have Panther Web generate screens or HTML pages on the web that would look very much like your screens in your Panther client application. But we knew back then that that wasn't necessarily going to be what you would want for your final application. There are a lot of reasons for that. One is that we didn't want to include any advanced JavaScript technology by default, in the product or in what we were generating. And the other is that that the paradigm for designing a web application isn't necessarily going to be, it's typically not going to be the same as how you would design a Panther client application. So, we avoided putting JavaScript UI technologies into what we were generating automatically from Panther Web. Had we done that back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we were we've always been more of an IBM shop than anything else, at least since the late 90s. We would have built Dojo support into Panther Web back then if we were doing it, and that would now be somewhat obsolete because everybody's using Bootstrap with jQuery UI. So that's the general idea. It gives you the power and flexibility to design your UI the way you like and let Panther Web handle the back-end stuff, which it's quite good at.
Right, correct. And it, as we all know, power of Panther is in the back end.
Yeah, the templating technology has been around a long time. We do ours very much like other server-side templating. We use the double curly braces, which most HTML design tools will just simply ignore. So you can stick in the various templating, the tags that we support for the server-side functionality right into your HTML that you can design with any design tool that you like.
Right, the flexibility. Excellent.
Hello. I'm going to walk you through some of the Panther Web exercises that we will be working on in this Panther Web workshop. All these work will be performed in our Panther Developer Cloud instance, which is running on AWS. We will be executing our Panther 551 cloud executable using Eclipse for development, as well as using the Chrome browser, or any browser you choose to use. The workshop exercises in the workshop files folder under exercises. There are 5 exercises to complete, and let's start with the first exercise. The first exercise takes a simple login screen, and it adds an HTML template to it. We'll also add some color to the HTML template and modify it so it looks a little more presentable. So first thing we'll do is open up Panther 551 Cloud. There we go. We'll open up the login screen. And it wants you to test the login screen within the ProDev executable. So I'm going to go into test mode. And I'm going to enter some values in here and press the reset button to clear the fields. Great. I will also press the login button, and I'll get an invalid username and password because I've used an invalid username and password. Notice it also reflects today's time and date right here. Okay, and we'll take a look at the code behind it. Where is the JPL? This screen includes a JPL module called login.jpl. All right, now all the JPL is located in Eclipse. So we'll be doing development in Eclipse. Let's open up Eclipse. Let me close it, sorry, so you'll see how I've opened it. It's in on my desktop. It's the Eclipse icon. Now Eclipse will be locating my JPL files because I've in the proper directory, because I've made sure I've set it up to the location of SM path. So basically in any file of my ProDev, let me just show that to you. So this is my ProDev. My workshop folder. In my ProDev, I have my SM path pointing to the workshop web debugger test Panther workshop folder. And this is where my JPL files are located at. All right, so this is my Panther project, Panther workshop project within Eclipse. I'm expanding it. And notice I've got JPL files, HTML files, and CSS files. So let me open up my connect.jpl. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. I meant login.jpl. I have something in the unnamed procedure. I've got a proc validate login. I've got a proc connect to connect to my database, and a proc reset. This is what clears data in the fields. All right. Notice in my unnamed procedure, I'm actually calling a Java method called toString. And all this does is it grabs the actual date and time, the current date and time. So pretty cool here. I'm actually creating a Java object from my Java util date class, calling the method called toString. And it converts this date object to a string, and it displays it in my Panther field called Java date. I then go ahead and remove or delete my object. And that's how I'm able to display the date, the day, date, and time. Pretty cool. All right, so back to my exercise. I've shown you how I'm able to view my login.jpl within Eclipse. Next, what I'd like to do here is test the login screen from my browser. So from my browser, I'm going to enter the screen name in my URL. There we go. In fact, I have a bookmark right here. This is my screen. My Java date field, my static labels, my dynamic, my single line text fields, as well as my 2 push buttons. And they pretty much work as we saw how it worked in the client server environment. So I'm going to put in some fields here. Press a reset button. It clears data. Putting in some fields, some data in here. Press the login button. I get a message here. All right. Yeah, not very pretty. But in the next few exercises, we'll actually go through adding more HTML and prettying up the screens here. Adding more beauty to it, I should say. All right, so we are able to test the login screen in the browser. You could also go ahead and make some changes in the JPL if you like to. Step 11, I'd like to point out that what you'll need to do to make sure that Panther generates the HTML, for the correct HTML for your buttons, is to make sure your login and your reset button have the submit property set to yes and export to HTML property set to yes. So let me show that to you. You click on the login button, web options, submit set to yes, and export to HTML set to yes. You must have that set on both these buttons in order for Panther to generate the HTML for those buttons. And do the same for your single line text fields also. Now what we'll do next is attach an HTML template to your login screen. So what I'm going to do is go to web options, HTML options, and attach login1.html, which I've provided to you in your working directory. Let's take a quick look at login.html, login1, there you go. All right, so your HTML document pretty much formats your HTML folder, as well as it emits these Panther fields and data to your HTML document. So you'll need to use the emit command to make sure that the correct fields, the correct Panther fields, are being displayed in your HTML document. All right, so we have attached login1.html to your screen. Now let's go ahead and refresh my screen. Yes. Oh, it's kind of stayed a little too long. It's expired my cache. So there you go. So this is what it's done to your HTML document. It's added some color in the background, formatted it, so it looks much, much more prettier. It's kind of lined it all to the left. That's because I have it set up that way in my HTML document. So not very much work involved to redraw this Panther client server screen to give it some color, add some font, and kind of organize it. But guess what? In our next exercise, we will spruce this up a little more by adding some CSS. Thanks for watching our video. If you like the video, please press the like button. If you're viewing our content for the first time, please press the subscribe button. If you have any queries, either post them in the comment section or email us at support@prolifics.com.